Everybody, welcome to MD Power Hour, starring Giles, Tiger Thomas, and Ron Harris. That's me. And we got a lot to talk about this week. We're going to start with the last chance in Europe for qualification for the 2023 Mr. Olympia. That is the Sheru France. Wait, what's it called? They're calling it the Sheru Classic France Pro. That's coming up this Saturday in France. But first, I dug up some stats because it seemed to me like there was a European show every week. I think, man, they must have had like 100 European shows this year. No, it's not true. So in the United States, we have had 9 shows this year, a total of 9, and that's including the Mr. Olympia and the Arnold Classic.
Wow.
Outside the USA, there were 12 shows, but that's not just Europe, that's all of the countries. In Europe, 8 shows, and Europe only had 5 shows this year to qualify for the Mr. Olympia. Only 5. I thought there were way more. USA, if you count the Arnold, which the Arnold is a qualifier. So we had 8 chances to qualify for the Olympia in the United States this year. Europe had the continent of Europe. Most of these shows were in Italy and Spain and Portugal. Yeah, so we did have way more chances. So these are the shows that we've had outside the USA this year. Arnold South America, which was Brazil, Toronto Super Show, Empro Classic in Spain, Mr. Big Evolution Pro, Portugal, the Vancouver Pro, Flex Weekend Pro, Italy, European Pro in Spain, and then this weekend Sheru Classic Spain. And then after the Olympia, they're not all after. We have another Italian Olympus Pro the day after Legion. It's not going to be qualified for this year's Olympia. After the Olympia, we have Romania Muscle Fest, EVLS Prague Pro, and Japan Pro, all qualifiers for 2024 Mr. Olympia. No shows in the United States after the Olympia this year, but yeah, that was a little surprising because maybe it's just my bias. I was like, man, these Europeans, they're having way too many shows. No, you're doing fine, doing fine.
Well, I think Emilio's contributed to a lot of them, hasn't he? Because he does.
Wow.
I mean, I think Spain's probably leading the way in terms of non-American pro shows in the sheer numbers of them. Do you know what I mean? And also the quality as well. So don't forget that.
The quality's been outstanding. I'm not gonna some of these US shows, they weren't the greatest quality. Some of the Canadian shows weren't the greatest quality. It's not the promoter's fault, it's whoever shows up. So that whole argument about there's too many shows, I guess we just blew that apart. There's really not that many shows. It was because we work them and we're more involved. It seems probably to us that there are more shows than there actually are.
Yeah.
So this Saturday is the last chance on the continent of Europe to qualify for the Olympia, which at that point will be a little less than 5 weeks away. So let's get right into it. This is the third and final show of the season until the Olympia for Nathan to Asha. And we had hoped it would be a battle back and forth between Nathan and Regan. And we were predicting one of them's going to win two. It was going to be a battle but it turned out that went bust because Regan got his qualification at the Europa Pro. And, rightfully so, he shut it down. Milos and him decided, that's it. We're good. Let's go back to Las Vegas. Let's just rest up, bring the best possible package to Olympia because there really was no reason for Regan to continue on with shows after he'd qualified. Do you agree with that? Or do you think, he'd already told people he was going to do it, he should have done it?
Well, I heard conflicting things because I heard that both Nathan and Regan were down for all 3 shows.
Right.
Spain, Italy, France. And then obviously I saw the update from Regan the other day, and he's obviously back with Milos back in Vegas.
Yeah.
So I mean, like I said last week on the Power Hour, I said it makes no sense for him to stay in France and stay in Europe, away, and obviously, it's harder to prep than if you're at home. Right. So I was surprised. So I wanted to see a clash, but the thing is now, it means probably we'll get to see a better version of Regan at the Olympia, because at the end of the day, I want to see the best version of Regan and the best version of Nathan at the Olympia, because that's where it really counts.
Yeah, in that aspect, Nathan, I had commented on one of his posts saying it was right after European Pro, and I said, I hope you're still doing the France Pro, and he said, of course I am. I made a promise. I always honor my word as bond and all this, and props to him because it's not as far for him to travel, but it's still traveling. It's still another show he's got to go through. That's going to be a little bit of throw him off a little tiny bit for his Olympia prep because the Regan's back and he's not worrying about anything until the Olympia. Do you think Nathan has a chance of looking his best at this third show? Does he tend to look better as the shows go on? Or do you think maybe he's going to start fading a little bit?
Um, I think he will because it was been so much debate over the last week with the Regan fans, the Nathan fans, everyone going back and forth. I've been getting shit, you've been getting shit, you know. Oh, you got because I'm supposed to be biased towards Nathan, and then I'm saying Nathan Regan should have won, and all these other things. So, for me, like when I was watching the live stream, as I said, because we watched that, me and Derek watched that in the Global Muscle Studio. We watched that live, and I said to me, obviously it could be things like lighting and stuff like that. But for me, Nathan looked fuller in the last show in Spain. But for me, he wasn't quite as sharp. He disagrees. He says, no, I was sharper here. I was better here. But I've analysed the pictures, and like I said, it was better lighting at Italy. But for me, he just brought a slightly different look to Spain. And like I said, fuller, but not quite as sharp. So I think I don't see anyone. But then again, we saw what happened in 2021 at the EVLS Prague when he looked. I thought he was the winner, and he got fourth. So so let's see what happens. I'm predicting that he wins this, but it depends on what happens, because you never know. You never know how these judges are going to go.
And I hate to throw this out there because I don't want to get canceled or banned, but the fact that he was not very sportsmanlike he wasn't very gracious in losing to Regan. He wasn't angry. She didn't have a display where he smashed trophies, or Paula Berkhamshaw. Remember, she flipped off the judges many years ago at the Ms. International. Didn't do anything like that. But, in the back of the judge's mind, and I have to think there's going to be some of the same judges there. I don't know if it's even going to be the same head judge. I don't know if Bill's going to be the head judge again. But if it's close between him and maybe he could get fourth or something. I hate to say that. I hate to throw out conspiracy theories, but people are going to put them in the comments anyway. So I feel like it's our duty to at least mention that that's something people are going to be talking about. I'm not saying the judges would do that. Of course not. But anyway, so looking at the list, there are some guys here who legitimately have a chance. And I'm looking at this guy that you've been showing me updates and pictures, and I've been following, and Patrick's guy, Alfred Chiriac from Romania. This guy is peeled. I'm seeing details on this guy that, good Lord. And that was like 3 weeks out. Feathers on the quads and little fibers everywhere, all over his body. He's got size. He's got a very balanced physique. Does Vlad have a physique that could possibly defeat Nathan?
I just, like I said, I'm anxious to see the improvements he's made, because all the videos, all the photos I've been seeing for about the last 6 or 7 weeks, I'm absolutely blown away. He took second to James Hollis in Italy last year, and then he kind of started dropping off a little bit. He was getting like worse and worse placings. But for me, he's the wild card. He's the one that could come in and potentially, either push Nathan. I'm not sure, because like I said, we've got to see them next to each other. He might look absolutely dominating. He might get fourth. Do you know what I mean? I can't. I'm really, because the thing is, we're looking at him by himself, and he looks absolutely tremendous. And he's so thick. He's detailed. He's dry. This guy has been holding this condition for like 6, 7, 8 weeks. 400 kilo hack squats. The guy's an absolute, he's a workhorse. He's been working his ass off. I had him on Global a couple of weeks ago. And crazy to think that when he turned pro in 2018, 88 kilo, and now he's competing like 30 kilos heavier.
For you Americans out there, that's about 65, 68 pounds of muscle tissue. Wow. And I don't think he's 6'5" either, like Jamie, right?
No,
so
5'8".
So there you go. That's tremendous. Next guy I'm looking at, not necessarily for the win, but this is one of the most improved guys I've seen this year, certainly out of Europe. Tim Budesheim from Germany. I was so impressed with the way he looked at the European Pro. He's definitely gotten bigger. Because I remember for a couple of years, I think I was impressed by him. I was like, he's never going to be big enough to really push for a win at any of these shows. I like the guy's physique a lot, but I just don't see him ever being comparable in terms of mass. And it seems like he's added the mass. I'd be curious to know how much bigger he actually is, because he looked thick and full and round, dense, grainy. Yeah, I love the way he looked in European Pro, and he was solid third place. That's top 3. If there was a point system, which there's not, he probably could have gotten to the Olympia this year.
What a difference, though, from Italy. He was, what was he, 7th? Seventh in Italy? I'm sure he was 7th. Theo was 6th, was he? Yeah,
it was the other. It might have been the other way. They were both so close.
Theo but he was out of the top 5, and then he said on his Instagram, he said, "Oh, this is just a warm up. And I'm like, yeah. We all hear that one before. Turned up in Spain, and I was like, I said on the live stream, I said, I think Roman, it's between him and Roman for third place. And I was really glad Tim got third, because he really stood out for me. He really stood out, and also it shows you the difference that you can do to your physique in just a week or two. I mean, he looks so much better than Italy, and it was only like, what was it, a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, and it was. You think it was condition, or was it fullness? It was a combination of both.
His
Yeah.
legs were nice and dry, and he was bursting full. It's weird because, like, when he was flexing his arms, it's like the muscle was just so permanently flexed. He just looked so full to bursting. So whatever he did for that show, the only criticism, I'd like to see more bloody tan on him.
Yeah.
Messed his tan up, because it makes you look how much better Regan looked in Spain over Italy, just because he sorted his tan out. So I just hope he brings something like he brought for Spain the other week, but brings in, like I said, a much more polished presentation with regards to his tan, because I think I want to see him look at his absolute best and most polished up there. But I think he's
I couldn't tell in Spain. Do you remember at the judging and the finals, he looked darker at the finals? I couldn't tell if he was darker, if it was different lighting.
I can't recall ever seeing any difference. There's nothing flagging up in my brain.
Fair enough. So next up, let's go to French native, I believe, with that last name, Theo Leguerrier.
Leguerrier.
Yeah, and Theo has been another guy that there's a point system. Oh, did Theo win a show this year? No, because we just went over. There's only been 5 shows.
He won the NPC European last year. The Spain show from last year. He won that last year, and that qualified him for the Olympia. Okay. He got 4th, didn't he, in Spain, which was, and he beat Liang and he beat Roman, who beat him in Italy. Right. So he's kind of moving up. He's moving up, but with Theo, he's very consistent. He's always going to be a condition. And he's always very polished, very, very professional, So, he's probably, absolutely a first call-out guy.
Yeah. And that leads us to, of course, Roman Fritz. Very, very loyal fans. And again, I think a lot of fans, they are so supportive of their particular favorite athlete that they will fail to be able to comprehend how anybody could beat that guy, how anybody could beat them. To them, that's the perfect physique. That guy should be Mr. Olympia. And I saw in the comments like that Roman got robbed. Roman should have won. If you're 5th place, you probably weren't robbed. You could maybe make that argument if you're 2nd place, maybe 3rd place, if you're close enough. If you're 5th place, you didn't get robbed. There's a legitimate reason why the judges had 4 people in front of you. And with Roman, I just think it's a structural issue. He doesn't have super wide clavicles. His upper body's not as massive as his legs, although he has sort of brought up the disparity a good amount.
Yeah.
But size-wise, he's a big dude, but you put him next to some of these guys, and they're just bigger than him. And if they can match you on condition, that's another thing, is they'll point out the one aspect of their guy that is superior. And Roman's, that's what he needs, right? I mean, but
that's his area where his conditioning is.
In
that area, he's the hardest in the whole show. But for me, like his raidable bicep, the eyes go to the hams and the glutes, because for me, I look at the whole picture and I think, okay, you're lacking a bit in the back there, but the glutes and the hams are so shredded and so detailed, your eyes are drawn to that. But for me, I think, okay, well, I'm looking at his upper back now, and I'm seeing there's a few holes there. I mean, last week the other week in Spain, I thought he was going to be 3rd or 4th. But 5th was, I wasn't shocked by that, but 3rd or 4th I had him. I thought it was between him and Tim for 3rd.
It's going to be a good one. And then from Brazil, this guy's really good. Vitor Boff. Was he runner-up at the Arnold South America earlier in the year?
To Brandeo last year.
Yeah, very, very impressive. I'm surprised. I'm glad he's making the trip all the way. That's a long flight from Brazil to France.
He did the Olympia.
That was, everybody did the Olympia last year, but
yeah.
You get an Olympia. But that's Oprah, by the way, guys, if you didn't know my Oprah. But Victor, he's a first call-out guy. I wouldn't be surprised if he's pushing Nathan, Vlad, him, these other guys. I don't see him beating them, but I definitely see him not out of place in a first call-out. If they're going to call out 5 guys, he's definitely in that.
Yeah, that's possible. Maybe you'll take out like one of the guys like Theo or Roman, or or Tim maybe if he looks really, really good. But he's very, very good. I mean, he's obviously high placed. It'd be interesting to see him up against the European guys as well, because I'd be interested to see how he fares. Because I saw him at the Olympia. I've seen obviously the footage of him at the Arnold Brazil, and he's good. But let's see what improvements he's made, and let's see how he stacks up against the European guys.
I wonder how much love he gets compared to like Ramondino, because Ramon in the comments always gets mentioned and stuff, and they love him. They're very supportive of their athletes in Brazil, and I'm sure they're rooting for Victor. But yeah, I'm curious for you guys in Brazil. Where do you rate this guy? Because I think they're fairly they're the best fans for their athletes. I wish Americans were as supportive to our athletes as these guys were.
We talked about it with one of the guests in Global. Because he's moved to Brazil. He's moved to Brazil, and he was telling me about the bodybuilding scene over there and how much support and how welcoming even the bodybuilders were to him when he moved there. He said like everyone welcomed him with open arms. He said he said the bodybuilding scene he said it's just, and everyone in it, he said is really positive and really supportive. So it's nice to hear stuff like that.
Now, I know the supplement companies down there take very good care of the athletes, very good care, to the point where you have guys from other countries moving there, like what's his name, Francisco Barrios Vic. He moved to Brazil.
That's him.
Oh, that's him. Oh, yeah, that's right. He's on the Globe. Yeah, so that's going to air before this, so we can say go back and watch Charles Griffin and Francisco on MD Global. But also
and John Jewett.
Yeah, that's Legion. That's our next one we're going to talk about. Oh yeah, I can. There's so many shows, guys. It's easy. Just a couple more guys. We got Andrea Muzzi from Italy. I wasn't impressed with him at the last show. Condition from the back was really lacking. I've seen him so much better. And I don't compare people so much to their past, but if I know I've seen them in much better condition, it leads me to wonder, why didn't you bring that? Yeah. Why would you be 20% worse than that? These shows have great lineups. They're stacked. Did you really think, and I don't know what went on. We don't know his circumstances. He might have gotten sick. Who knows? Personal issues. You never know what's the story behind. But at the end of the day, the judges are judging the physique in front of them. They don't care if you had a death in the family, or you had COVID, or you tore your quad, or that doesn't matter. They're looking exactly what's up. So I hope to see Andrea much improved.
He looked good from the front like he always does, but for me, he looked a little bit smaller, like he'd over-dieted a bit. And I thought, okay, when he turns to the back, because he's brought him down, it looked to me like they brought him down a little bit. I thought, oh, he's going to be really crisp and separated from the back. And he turned to the back, and he wasn't. He was kind of the same, if not worse, from the back. But he's someone who does lots of shows. And sometimes he can really move up and really move down. I don't think he'll be as low as 12th in this one. I think he'll be up like good several spots, 5-6 spots. But let's see what he's rectified from Spain to what he brings here, because I've seen him do this. I've really seen him pull it back. So fingers crossed for Andrea.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Blessing Owodibu go from a guest posing condition at one show. I think it was 6 weeks later. Condition was bang on. He just, other issues were going on, but it can be done. It can be done. Last guy in the open, I was not familiar with them at all, but you helped me out here. You said you call him Mike, M-A-I-K, Cesla, like Tesla, but it's C-I-E-S-L-A.
I don't know how to say his name either, so I'm just literally going off the sheet like you are. Just flagging it.
Yeah. So we apologize if we're butchering your name, but I don't know anybody named M-A-I-K. If I did, I would say your name correctly. But yeah, tell me a little bit about this guy as far as how he looks.
He's actually been in quite a lot of the shows that we've reviewed, actually, and he's kind of like a top end second call out guy. He's making top 10 in all the shows I think he's done to my memory. He's like an 8th, 9th place guy, but he's done pretty well. He's been pretty consistent. He's another one of these guys that's slowly, quietly creeping up and moving up. So he'll be up there. He'll be fighting out with Mutzi and these other ones in the second call out. But he's one to keep an eye on. He's pretty good.
Okay, cool. So in the classic, I only recognize a couple names, but they're two of the best classic physique pros coming out of Europe. Congratulations to Rough Diesel, by the way, on your win in Dubai.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have bet money on that one, but no one would have taken that bet.
German. Hang on. That Brazilian guy that looks like a 212 that got second. Everyone's raving. They're saying that he should have won, and I'm like, well, to me, he looks like a 212. Really, he didn't look like a classic to me. But then again, it's that old argument. Like what is classic? So
Fabio
Fabio Jr. Yeah. Fabio Jr. He looks fantastic physique. But to me, he looked like a 212.
Yeah, you see that's fairly common.
It's
You do
huge.
see some of these guys. You have to wonder, how did that guy make weight? I know
Yeah.
they just got a few more pounds, but still, you're thinking, wow, how is he only weighing that much?
Do you
Because
see him from the back?
no, I have to go check those
I
out.
mean, he looked
They're
like a top
massive.
212 guy. He was seriously thick. I was thinking, and then you compare him next to Ruffin, and Ruffin looks half the size, but Ruffin's just got those beautiful lines. And I mean, he's just, he's one of the, top 3 guys in the world, when he's at his best. Top 2.
So this show, of course, there's other guys in the lineup that I'm sure we're unaware of that could be very, very good, but I only recognize German Pastor from Spain.
Yeah.
I've seen German a few times. Is German, to your recollection, has he ever done like top 10 at the Olympia?
Don't think so, but he's won several pro shows.
Okay. Yeah. So, he could get his ticket. Didn't he win a show this year?
Yeah.
Okay. So he's already got his Olympia qualification. He's good.
Yeah, he's just competing for fun. Pick
And
up
then
fuel.
another guy who I saw for the first time, I want to say it was last year, Alexander Westermeyer from Germany, also very, very good. More pure classic. Not, you would never mistake him for a 212. But yeah, surprisingly, I think what I recall is I wanted to see like more arm development if I'm thinking of the same guy.
He won Pittsburgh last year, and then he beat Neil Curry, who was 3rd, and then the New York Pro, Neil Curry beat him, 1, and Alexander was 2nd, and I think was Camilo Diaz 3rd. I think.
You're good, man. Wow. So to let people know, this event is happening Saturday, which is an anomaly. I believe every other European show this year has been held. The pro portion of it has been on a Sunday. So it's this Saturday, the 30th of September. You can go to 2BP events. That's for 2 bros, 2bpevents.com. And as we're speaking on a Tuesday before the Saturday, I don't see any information on live stream. I hope that is added between now and then, because it would be a shame to have a contest of this caliber that you can't watch unless you're in France. So come on, guys, get together. Get us a live stream.
The Arnold UK last year had no live stream, and it was probably one of the most anticipated shows on the planet. Andrew Jack and and all these incredible people, James Hollinshead, Mark Hector, Alfred Chiriac, and then there was no live stream. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Well, that's why the Arnold took control of that show, and those promoters are no longer associated with the Arnold.
The guy that was the promoter for he's in jail now.
I heard that. So there you go.
Jailed fraud. So no surprise there, because I think that was basically why Arnold kicked him out. Arnold had to really do a lot of behind the scenes. Arnold did a lot of he made sure that Ronnie and Jay would looked after, made sure that they were coming because they weren't going to be paid.
Wow,
so
that's right.
Arnold had to basically, hi Branch. Arnold had to sort of pay for that out of his own pocket. So there's everyone was ripping Arnold on the comments, and I'm thinking, you guys don't know Arnold's actually the one that actually. Because I mean, probably a lot of people, obviously loads of fans want to see guys like Ronnie and Jay.
Yeah, and for Arnold to dip into his own personal pockets and do that, God bless him.
He's only worth $500 million, isn't he? So it's not.
He's got a little spare change, but still.
Yeah, no, it's fair play. Hats off.
Most wealthy people don't like to spend their own money. Put it that way.
Yes.
We got some big news last Saturday from the Dubai Pro. I believe Bob Ciccariello was the first one to interview Ramy. I'm sure there were several because there was a lot of podcasters and everything running around Dubai, but Big Ramy did announce he's sitting out this Olympia, not going to try to get his title back this year. He's taking the advice of Olympia head judge Steve Weinberger, who several months ago said, Ramy, you should probably just take a year off, do whatever you need to do, keep taking, I don't know if he said this, but these stem cell treatments that you're taking, I'm guessing there's really no evidence. That's still a very new medical technology. People don't know how long it takes. There are no guarantees. I don't think there's any major studies that even prove their efficacy, but we hope for the best. Ramy had some physique issues. His lower lats were retracting and upward atrophy there. We saw the triceps atrophied, the holes in his quads. I think that was an easy fix, whatever he did to do that. But he did look better at the Arnold, but still, this is a guy that was a 2-time Mr. Olympia. And I think this is the steepest drop from a champion to taking 5th place. No, someone did worse in 1 year.
No, in 84, got 6th.
Got 6th.
Yeah, first he was first in 83, and then he dropped to 6th in 84.
Wow. Well, nobody wants to beat that.
And then in 85, he went and competed with Webber. He was so pissed off.
Well, nobody wants to beat that record.
And then tried to come back and win it again, and then he was getting like 8ths and 9ths and stuff for a good few years, wasn't he?
Well, Nick Miller, who does a great job with Nick Strength and Power, he said this was the steepest, but he wasn't sure. And I knew if I threw it out to you, you would come back with the right answer because you're
Tiger knows. Tiger knows.
there's the two top historians in bodybuilding right now are you and John Hansen.
Wow, that's quite a
John,
compliment because I really bowed down. Like people like Peter McGough, the late Peter McGough, God rest his soul, and John Hansen. From my perspective, as a whatever I am, I have such respect for those two. To even be included in those kinds of, that's a huge honor.
yeah. And so he did drop from winning 2 Olympias in a row to 5th place, which is a very steep decline. And then he does the Arnold Classic. And you would expect a guy who was a 2-time Olympia champ to be able to win the Arnold Classic. Did look better for sure. He looked better, but he still dropped down to his 4th place at the Arnold. Yeah, but so he got beat by Samson, Nick, and Andrew Jacked. So I think the writing was on the wall.
Okay. I remember we were all speculating, and I said, look, stem cells, I don't know much about stem cells, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't work in 10 weeks to fix all those issues. But do you know what? He really surprised me, and he really surprised everyone, because I thought he looked absolutely fantastic at the Arnold Classic. I mean, he looked... Okay, then here's a question, Ron. If he'd have brought his Arnold look to the Olympia, where do you think he would have placed? 5th? 4th. Yeah.
I mean, who'd he beat? That was Brandon. I think that could have beaten Brandon, not for sure.
I'd have had him 3rd over Nick.
3rd, okay.
Yeah.
You can't say that. So Nick
Sorry,
Walker,
I've got a million Nick Walker fans after me now. I don't care. I've got all the Andrew Jack ones have just left my drive because they were here for a year camping out, with burning pitchforks.
Wait till we start our Olympia predictions.
Oh,
because like I said, all these guys have legions of fans, and they believe in their hearts wholeheartedly. My guy's going to win the Olympia. My guy's going to win. If you say anybody else is going to win, you don't know anything. You're an idiot. You're a hater. I'm telling you guys, you get the top men in the world on one stage. Somebody's got to win. Somebody's got to take 2nd, 3rd, 4th. It doesn't mean they suck. You're still one of the very best physiques on a planet of 8 billion human beings. But Ramy, if Ramy had come to you, let's say Ramy comes to you now, he's not going to, but let's say he says, Tiger, I trust you to give me a very objective opinion. Should I keep competing, or I have 2 Olympia titles. I have millions and millions of fans. I have a supplement company. I have various lucrative sponsorship endorsements. What would you do if you were me? Would you hang it up, or would you try to come back next year?
I think if I was him at this point now, with where he is and all the opportunities he's got, I think he should retire. I'd like to see him keep competing. I'd like to see Phil Heath keep competing. I'd like to, what I mean? I don't want to see any of these guys retire, but unfortunately, fortunately for him, he's in a position now where he can really focus on building the supplement brand. Because I tell you what, there's a lot of big names that have had supplement brands that have tanked. There's a lot of companies that have gone, so it takes a lot of hard work. I used to work for Ronnie, and I know much work Ronnie put into it. Ronnie said to me, and he says, I'm working harder now than I've ever worked in my life. Yeah, and you think about all the different things he's done in his life. He says, and that's just to sort of just to sort of survive and kind of grow, and that's how you grow something. You can't just stick your name on it anymore and just hope it'll sell. But with Ramy, he's been competing in the pros since he turned pro in 2012 at one of the first ever amateur Olympias. 2011.
No, 2012. It was in Kuwait. I think it was the Amateur Olympia Kuwait.
Kuwait. It was because the first one was in the UK, and I think the second one was there. It might have been another one. I'm not so sure. And then he obviously won the New York Pro in 2013, 2014. He's been doing the Olympias pretty much every single year, apart from 2019. And so he's just been continually competing. So I would. It's like when Ronnie was kind of on, when he got 2nd and then 4th. And if it wasn't for all his, his back and everything, he says, I'm just going to go do smaller shows and win them because I love competing. I love training. And then obviously he said Father Time caught up with him and the injuries caught up with him, and it wasn't possible. But I would say, Ramy, things like not just health, but your body. I mean, he's battered that body for 12 years. I mean, 13 years ago, he was like a normal sized guy. He was just a bulky guy, wasn't he? And then within a couple of years.
People don't know. So he turned pro in 2012. He was around 280 pounds. A year before that, he was 200 pounds. So a lot of you watching this were as big as Ramy a year before he turned pro. That's how quickly. That's crazy. That's almost 100 pounds of muscle in 1 year. Wow.
I wonder how many cows and chickens had to die for that.
He's a big shrimp fan, so I imagine it was a lot of shrimp. Yeah. He's the only guy I ever heard of, an Olympia champion whose favorite, he says, favorite protein source and when it was shrimp, because he was a fisherman. So I get that. They, you know.
I heard a bodybuilder many years ago when I was working for Dorian Metrex back in London, and he said that because he split up from his wife and he wants to compete again at the Universe, and he said, I said, what's your main protein source? He says, oh, just prawns. You call them shrimp. He said prawns. He says because I don't like cooking.
Well, you gotta cook.
Just
What, does he eat them raw?
No, don't cook. You buy them cooked. It must cost a fortune. I was like, how many prawns would you have to eat, you know, to sort of fulfill your protein needs? And he was huge as well. He was good. He got like top 6. And prawns. That's the only time I've heard that.
I know your favorite kind of prawn.
Tiger prawn.
Tiger prawn. That's an actual prawn. Yeah. So you should look into that.
No, but I think Ramy should. It's up to him. It's up to him. I mean, he seems like a pretty smart guy, and I think now would be a good time to kind of to bow out maybe. But you know, would I like to see him compete again? Of course I would. You know, I'd love to see him compete again. I'd love to see him come back up there and look absolutely sensational. Sure. You know, it's like I've been really excited this week with that update from Brandon Curry.
Yeah, Brandon's.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
7.5 weeks out, and to me, if you look at his legs, he's in better condition almost now than he was at the Olympia last year. There's more cuts in his legs now at 7 weeks out because he's been so quiet. And I thought, oh, is he kind of bowing out maybe, or you know, because he wasn't posting. It was nothing we could really go on. And then all of a sudden he posts that video, and I spoke to Brandy. Apparently, she said they're posting another one. She said, and that's going to blow minds as well.
I think Brandon's a victim of this social media culture we're in bodybuilding now, where people are all about the new thing. The Andrew Jack, the Samson, the Nick Walker, still fairly Hadi, Derek, people who are newer to the scene. Brandon's not an old, you know, was he 40? Is he even 40 now? I don't even know.
Yeah, he's 40. They're 40, him and William Bonac, both 40 last year, I believe.
Okay. So he's been around a while. He's been a pro for a long time. A lot of the younger guys, they see that as like, you know, the old dinosaur, like get out of the way, make room for the new guard. And
no chance.
He's not getting a lot of a hype or anything, but I like circumstances like that, because then it sets them up to really shock people and say, oh gosh, this guy wasn't in our conversation. We weren't talking about him. And wow, first call out looking phenomenal. He still has, it's not like he's torn a pec or anything.
Yeah.
There's his physique is still as good as it ever was. So he could shock a lot of people.
2019, second in 2020, second in 21, fourth in 22. And let's be honest, his condition wasn't great in 22, but he still managed to hold on to 4th place and beat Ramy and Samson and all these other guys. So, you know, if he comes in, like basically they said they want to bring him in fuller and better than he was at the 2019 Arnold Classic with the 2020 Olympia conditioning. And I said, well, if you manage to do that, then, you know, some certain fans are going to get quite upset.
Sure. So, I went live with the news about Ramy on Saturday, and something I said really triggered one of the people in the comments. You know, I said, I would hate to see Ramy keep competing and slide further and further down, that's a possibility for anybody.
Like NASA.
And I compared it to Samir Bannout, because Samir continued competing for 91, at least till 91. I remember him at the 91 Olympia, the first one.
I saw him at the 94 British Grand Prix.
Wow. So, you know, he competed long past his physical prime. His placings were getting worse and worse. And to me, I don't want to see a Mr. Olympia getting the third call out. To me, I like to see people go out on top, or at least close to the top, to know when it's time to go. And this guy argued with me. He's a fan. And he said, you know, he respected him for continuing to compete because that's his love and his passion. So I see that argument, but at the same time, it's like you don't want to see an athlete who's no longer really competitive. And they were the best in the world at one point, and now they're far, far from the best in the world. I don't want that for Ramy, and Ramy can do whatever he wants. We're not Ramy's boss, so I personally, I don't want to see that.
I don't think Ramy really enjoys competing. I think he's one of these guys like almost like Jay Cutler that knows, like Nathan Diashi said. Like Nathan said to me, like he said he's loving it again now. He said, but there was a few years where he didn't love it, but he knew he was good at it and he could make money at it. No. You know, like Jay Cutler. Like when I used to watch Jay Cutler, it's no disrespect for Jay. I love Jay. But like, I could watch Ronnie's videos all day because there's a guy that just lived to train. I mean, I've been with him and he's kind of goes a bit quiet and a bit within himself before training. 10 minutes into the session, it's like the best part of his day. Yeah. But when I used to watch Jay Cutler's videos, I used to turn them off because I just couldn't find them very inspirational, because I thought he's doing this because he knows he's bloody good at it. Yeah. You know, and he's got this passion, he's got this drive, he's got this thing that he's going after. You know, he's going after Ronnie. He wants the Olympia title. But for me, like watching Ronnie train, this was a guy that, like he said, he woke up one day and he was Mr. Olympia. It's not like it was something it's not something he ever set out to do. You know, it's just, he just loved training. And the 8 Olympia titles were just a byproduct of the fact, oh, God, the crickets are going again. Just a byproduct of the fact that he just loved to train and bodybuild. Do you know what I mean? It's like, that was his passion, you know? But yeah, some guys you can tell that I don't know whether like being on prep would be something that really gets Ramy jumping out of bed in the morning, you know. But I think he's achieved enough. I think he's achieved enough, because don't forget, he was trying for that Olympia title so many years, 6th, 7th, 8th. Then he got that second in 2017 to Phil Heath. Then he won the Arnold Europe. I was there in Madrid, and he beat, you know, all the guys like Sean Roden, and beat Nathan Diasher, Rulli, and William Bonac. You know, and then you know, 2018 we had that, he was, 2019 didn't even compete, and then 2020 he came back, got the special invite, won it. I think 2 Olympia titles. I think he's achieved enough, and I think he should go make some money now.
You mentioned Ronnie. Ronnie's probably the most inspirational bodybuilder, along with Arnold, of all time. And it was those videos, you know, Jay and a lot of other guys, everyone has their own personality. Jay was more introspective and quiet when he trained. Ronnie was, it was like a party for him. He'd be yelling like, whoa, yeah, buddy, lightweight, nothing but a peanut. And he'd, do these crazy squats, deadlifts, all the crazy weights he lifted. People still watch those videos. We're talking, this is almost 30 years later, though. Yeah, 30 years ago is when the Unbelievable came out.
He was like me in a strip club. Back in the day.
Yeah, I saw an interview he did with 2 very young podcasters, these kids in their early 20s. The iced coffee hour or something.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw a clip of it today, actually.
He talked about going to strip clubs after every Olympia. It was a tradition. Win or lose, he always had to go to a strip club after.
Strip club. Can you imagine Ronnie walking in all tanned up and just all glistening and in a tight t-shirt? And I bet they're like, holy shit. You know, I remember when I took Zach Khan to one in Newcastle, and my friend worked there. She was dragging him upstairs, and she said, Giles, I couldn't dance properly because I couldn't get my legs over him.
Wow, I can imagine him in a strip club, just the way he is on your interviews.
And you know, in those clubs, you're not allowed to take photos. You're not allowed to get your phone out. And straight away, the doorman comes over and starts having pictures with Zach. And then he says to me, first of all, he said to one of the guys, he says, "Is that Zach Khan?" And I went, no, it's just somebody who looks like him.
That's hilarious. I'll tell this story. If I've told it, I know I've told it to you before, so forgive me, but some of the people watching. 2002, I was getting ready for a contest, and I was a big clubber back in the day. So I was like 4 weeks out. This is my last, I won't go clubbing after tonight, I promise. So I'm at this place called the Roxy, and that's where all the bodybuilders went to in Boston. It was the meathead place with the shiny shirts and the spandex. And, the girls half naked. It was we loved it. Everybody was on drugs, rolling their asses off. So I went to the bathroom, and as I'm coming out, around the doorway, I see this huge arm, big, brown. It was an African-American man's arm, big giant arm, just poking. That's all I could see because it was sticking us outside the door frame. I said, "Who's that, Ronnie Coleman?" And I walk in, it was Ronnie Coleman.
I've never heard this story, Ron. You've never told me this.
So I said, Ronnie, because I knew him a little bit I'd met him many times before that. We'd done interviews. So I said, "What are you doing here?" "Boston." He said, "Oh, I get an appearance at a supplement store tomorrow." I'm like, wow, and I said, "Hey, you having a good time?" And there was a local bodybuilder, I won't mention him. He said, "Man, I can't get this one guy. I can't get rid of this one guy. He's like talking my ear off on that." I said, "Yeah, that's how meatheads are. You go to a club and they just want to talk to you about gear and all this other stuff." And I'm like, man, I just want to roll my ass off and grab my girl's ass. Just leave me alone. But anyway, that's my Ronnie story. Last item I do want to bring up. The one thing that bothers me, and I'm sure it bothers you as a competitor, as former competitors, we're all retired. When somebody claims a contest win that they did not win, it just bothers me. And if I'm wrong about this, but I did my research, I saw a gentleman who's a Masters pro post that he has won a Masters Olympia title. And immediately I said, "You never won a Masters Olympia title. We know all the big names that have won Masters Olympia."
Yeah, reel them off.
guys, yeah, Vince Taylor, Don Youngblood, Claude Gru. We know them all off the top of our head.
Sonny Schmidt.
Okay, yeah. So the late Sonny Schmidt, rest in peace. So I looked at, I was tempted to post, but I'm not going to go back and forth on someone's Facebook because in today's culture, people just deny, and it's like nobody takes accountability for their lies. But it's such an easy thing to look up. I don't know why you would be so bold, so brazen as to make a claim like that on Facebook, where everyone could see it and say, "What are you talking about? You never won the Masters Olympia." So another story from that same club, the Roxy. I remember a guy, shorter guy, shorter than me even, believe it or not. He was yapping me outside that same bathroom door. And he's saying, I won the Night of Champions. I said, hold up, because I'd never seen this guy. I didn't know it. I said, you won the Night of Champions. He didn't know that I knew anything about the sport.
Yeah.
He didn't, I hate to be that asshole, but he didn't know who I was and that I could bust him like that.
Yeah.
I said, really? What year did you win the Night of? I said, and I had to clarify. I said, because maybe it was some rinky dink. I said, Night of Champions, IFBB Night of Champions, New York. He was, yeah. I said, okay, what year? And he told me the year. I said, you don't look like Paul Dillette. And he should have seen his face. He just like he
99,
knew.
99.
Yeah, it must have been 99, whatever year it was. I knew at that point. I was a little better. I was a little more like you back in the day. I could remember things better.
Marcus Rule was robbed. Pavel Yannicki was second, Dexter was third.
Probably. Don't take your word for it. But yeah.
Right.
So my advice to you guys, if you're ever planning to do that, don't do it with a show that's so easily recognizable and it's a big title like that, because you will get called out. And I don't want to get into it with this guy because I don't want negativity. I don't want to argue with people who clearly there's a reason he felt he could get away with that or felt he. So, but would that bother you?
People are going to say you put something stupid on social media, and if it's bullshit, it'll bite you on the ass.
I mean, some things you could lie about. You could say I have a Ferrari and just take a picture with someone else's Ferrari. Ugh. That's easy enough to fake. People do that every day.
All the time. That really annoys me. That
here's my $50,000 watch, and it's a $200 knockoff of a $50,000 watch. You can get away with shit like that on social media, and you can fool some people. There's a lot of people who know nothing about the sport, and they'll accept, oh, you won the Mr. Olympia? Oh, that's great. I've seen people do that too. Yeah, I won the Mr. Olympia. No, you didn't win the Mr. Olympia. Yeah.
I was in a club once, and I was I went to the bar or the bathroom or whatever, and my girlfriend and her friend were there, and this guy comes over and starts kind of like flirting with him. I come back and he sees me like a tight cheek. I was quite big, and he goes, "Oh, I bodybuild too. I lift weights." And he said, I can deadlift this much. And I went, "Really?" I said, "Hang on a minute, how much do you weigh?" And he told me, and I went, "Mate, I work in the kind of bodybuilding fitness media." I says, "I know for a fact that you pretty much in your gym, just every week you're hitting world records." I said, "Please give me your number. I'd love to interview you." I said, "Because this is what I dream of finding as a media guy. The next big discovery." And then he just looked at me and went, "Yeah," and he walked off. I was like, that got rid of him, dickhead. Wow.
Did your girlfriend at the time? Did she even know that that's like a lot of weight to deadlift?
She wasn't even listening. We were drunk. I mean, but I thought I'm not going to let this guy get away with this bullshit. You know what I mean? So you can't bullshit a bullshitter.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, liars like that. It just bothered me, and I'm not calling him out by name because I don't want negativity in my life. Even if I know I'm in the right, I don't want to bother with this. It's not that important to me. It's just Bob Chick. That was another show. The gentleman did claim he won another show that Bob Chick won, but they did have an over 50 division, and he was the legitimate winner because he was the only competitor in the over 50.
Retching it, innit?
But he still won. I mean, that's not a lie. That's the truth. If you show up and you're the only one in your class, technically you're the winner. So that's not a lie. That's why I didn't even mention it. But he was not the winner in that year that he claimed to win. He was in the show. You were there, but you don't remember him because there were roughly 25 or 30 men in the show. And after 15, they don't bother placing. It's, they have enough. The judges have a hard enough time trying to accurately place 15 people. After that, you're all tied for 16th. That's where this gentleman, actually, was he 13th?
Ron.
Yeah.
The one thing that used to bother me that I used to call out on my old website, UK Muscle, years ago, was because in the UK, we've got like upwards of 25 to 30 different federations. So there's all these different amateur federations. And then you get the ones that contest hop, title, they're trophy hunters. So there was one guy, he did the intermediates at one show 1 year, came back the following year, did the world championships. No, he did the world championships and then he did the intermediates and he won it. And I'm like, well, you've just come third in some world championships and now you're going doing some novice show because they don't recognize the fact that you're, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like pros in some federations jumping into amateur shows, and I hate all that. It really annoys me. It's like, work your way up the ladder properly. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
well, I mean, someone like that, I think deep down they recognize they're not that good, so they try to capitalize on whatever they can get away with. Yeah, but that's lame. I agree. Like, you know, novice is, I don't know if the rules have changed, but in the United States, in the NPC, I don't know if this is still the case, but you can do the novice all the way up until you've won an overall title. But it's still the term novice, that brings to mind somebody who's fairly new to the sport. They're still sort of learning the ropes. You don't want to see someone who's done 20 shows and they're still a novice. And I recall I've seen only a couple cases, but I've seen people like, why are you a novice? I've been seeing you for years. You're not a novice anymore. Move.
You know, when John Citrone was at his peak in his late 50s, winning world championships, Naval Universes, one after the other, when he was at his best, he went to Wayne D'Amelia. They were at FIBO on a trade stand, I think, when they had Metrex. And he saw Wayne D'Amelia. Wayne D'Amelia was like, whoa, look at you. He was in a vest and everything, you know, because John was like, and he said, you know, what's the deal with you? You know, are you pro? And he says, no, I've been with NABA for years, and I've won sort of EFBB, which is obviously the part of the IFBB then. Yep. And he said, well, I'd love, you know, the Masters Olympia. We've been going a few years. We'd love to get you in there. You know, you'd win the, you know, you probably do one of the over 50s. And then he went and he said, but you'll have to speak to your UK Federation like president. And then they said, no, sorry, you're going to have to come and do our British Championships and get to be able to turn, and then win our World Championships, be able to turn pro. And it's like, and then that opportunity was lost. It was gone, you know, because can you imagine John when he was like 60? I mean, I saw him in the World Championships over in Greece. He could have, you know, he would have smashed everyone.
Oh, great. John competed, I think, in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I think he competed in 5 or 6 different decades.
Yeah, 60s. He was, he was competing with Arnold in 67, 68, 69. He won the amateur, Arnold won the pro.
Unbelievable. Wow. All right. Well, I think we've yapped long enough. Yeah. So guys, we're hoping that the Sheru Classic France Pro does add a live stream availability before Saturday so that we can check it out. You can check it out. So go to 2bpevents.com. You know, I would check on it once a day and see if they've added a stream. I wouldn't, you know, I'd be more surprised if they don't, because you have to have a stream. That you have to have one these days.
Yeah,
it's a worldwide fan base. People want to see this, especially Nathan.
Sponsors expect it. They want eyes on the show so they can see their branding.
There's a lot of reasons. So, guys, promoters, please make it happen, please. So that's it. Giles, thank you so much for as always, and go back, guys, on this channel. Yesterday we have a new episode of MD Global Muscle with the kid Francisco Barrios Vic, and who did we say the other guest was? Did we ever figure it out? John Jewett, 212, who's doing open at Legion Sports. These crazy updates you're going to see on the show. He is looking massive and so much better than I ever thought he was capable.
Ron, that guy is literally having to lose 15, 16 pounds of muscle to do 212. So, and we talk right about what his next plans are, what best case scenario with Legion, worst case scenario, what he's doing next. But and he sent me that video, which I sent you on the group chat. And I mean, like, he looks ready at 229. He actually looks better, fuller and more detailed because everything's full and bursting. So there's a guy that might possibly be kissing goodbye to the 212 because he's already qualified. He won the Atlanta. Oh, okay. And he's he's qualified for the Olympia, but you have to watch it to find out what he says about what his varied plans are, depending on what happens at Legion. But I'm looking forward to it, and I think he's going to give Charles Griffin and Rodriguez and everybody else in the Legion a real run for their money.
Check that out, guys. And of course, next week's show we will do a preview of the very last chance to qualify for the Olympia, Legion Sports. Going to be a great show. So be on the lookout for that next week. What are you bringing a bobblehead over? Oh,
got it.
Oh, you finally got it. That's right.
Yeah.
It was coming slow. It was on a slow boat from the United States. It finally arrived. But, great article in there. He has another great article in the next issue. We'll keep that under wraps for now. But that's it, guys. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe. If you like the videos, hit that thumbs up thing. Share this on your social media platforms with that thing that says share. Turn the notifications on the YouTube and on your device. It's not all iPhones. Some people have other phones now. And that's it. We appreciate your viewership. We'll see you on the MD Power Hour next time. Hey, did you like that video? Smash that like button, subscribe to MD, and please comment down below. Thanks for watching.